We are back. My guest, A.R. Shaw from the Atlanta Daily World. Good to have you in the studio. Reverend Dr. Rocky Brown for Brown and Associates. We were talking about the call to action by black men. Let me start with you, Rocky. You were on that call. What is that amount? $1.2 million?
Yes, $1.2 million.
Raised during that call. And that is just the beginning from the first call on the first day. Your thought about that call?
It was very exciting. I was part of the organizing committee for the Million Man March. I had not felt that sense of exuberance and excitement since then. Just brother after brother was coming on there, and the different speeches were exciting, and the brothers were on point. It was all they were saying. This election is not about us. It's about our children. It's about our future. We got to put all this philosophical differences that we have, and we've got to get involved. Somebody said to me, "Well, do you think it was because she was a woman or a black woman and stuff like that?" I said, the bottom line is, we saw an opportunity for change, and we came together. Yes, it was about her being a black woman because we did not do that for Hillary.
Okay. All right. And, would you agree this is a different day from 2016? I think in 2016, we were not in a place to openly accept a woman. That appeal, because Shirley Chisholm was one of the first women, and then from 2016 to 2024, we are more positioned that her gender is less the issue.
Right.
Because even in the commentary from the right, they're not even talking about necessarily her gender. They're talking about this DEI nonsense. But, if you ever saw the movie Ben, this is way before you. Reese Green is in the studio. He is my intern. I'm going to bring him in a few minutes. And when Ben the rat got caught in the corner and he was, you will say anything. Then the issue is not even her gender. The issue is whether or not she's qualified, but we won't get into that. But with that, when we talk about moving forward, we're in a different place for leadership, although gender is an issue. I don't want to say that it is not. But I think we've got the right person at the right time, and timing is everything. So I want to, let me go to AR. AR, your thought on the call and what happened in that 24 and 48 hours?
Yeah, definitely. So, just like you all, I got the text first Sunday for the women's call, and then like a day later, I got a text again for the black men call. And I actually got an opportunity to speak with Khalil Thompson, who's the executive director of Win with Black Men. We got a chance to talk maybe a few hours before their call, and he did talk about the process of how it all came together. And it was basically moments after the women, raised all that money, the 44,000 black women, he got together with Roland Martin, Bacardi Sellers, a few other men, and they pretty much just put it all together. And, it was just interesting to see, how it all unfolded within a matter of hours. And one of the things that was one of the themes in that call was protecting Kamala Harris. That was the theme that black men have to step up and protect
I want you to say that again. I want you
yeah.
to say that again because you blanked out. Did you say the theme was about protecting Kamala Harris?
Yeah, it was a major theme about black men have to step up and protect
That's right.
Kamala Harris.
Yep.
And so that was just it. We have to really get behind her in a way that we haven't seen before. And so that was really one of the messages that we heard on that call. And I think everybody's going to fall in line. And I think even from, whether it's, social media, whether it's in our community, we're going to make sure that we protect her on her way to making history.
Wow, that just gave me chills.
AR, do you remember? It was so many. The brothers are getting to the point they were in competition saying, I was the first one to endorse her.
Right.
Everybody wanted to be the first.
Right.
Yeah, but I want to add this, though. What's so interesting is that people are copying this whole model, and so following those two calls, there's going to be a call for white women. I think it's tomorrow, and there was a call for Latino women last night, and there's going to be a call for South Asian women. So we're seeing that this thing is happening.
And that's really the threat to the right. The last thing they want to see is this level of unification. My grandmother used to say, when you point a finger at me, be prepared to have two fingers pointed back at you. Where they decided that what they were going to do for bad, look at what has turned out for good.
Yeah.
And I want to use, you said something from a spiritual perspective, and I did this during the Nourishment for the Soul, and this is a perspective, and I think this is a great opportunity to say this, because what is for you, you will have, right? So she was a prosecutor. From prosecutor became state's attorney general, and state, not attorney general, she became the prosecutor for the state of California.
San Francisco, she was a DA of San Francisco.
Right, of San Francisco, and then ran for state office. From there, running for Senate. Then deciding several years later she would run for president of the United States. And quite frankly, had a great showing. A great showing, but it was not for her at that time. Who would have thought that the president of the United States would, one, file to become the next president for a second term, and then yet decide to step aside and propel her to the position to become president? Who would have thought that 4 years ago, really 3.5 years ago, that the timing is right and perfect for her right now? You could not have crafted what happened. She could not have crafted what happened last Sunday. So when I say it's all in divine order, that's what that is. That she could not have crafted that on her own to be in the position that she's in, on the platform she's on, at the right time for America to get behind her. So as the Republican Party pushed this whole narrative about Joe Biden, and we all know what they said, that the whole monkey wrench has been thrown into the engine, and they are literally lost at how to defend themselves now. You agree, AR, or your thought on that?
Oh, yeah, I think so. I actually wrote an op-ed on AtlantaDailyWorld.com that you can check out now, and is basically saying that, we've seen this thing that several Republican officials have said that she's a DEI hire. And I basically break them down. I say, okay, you can put Trump's accomplishment and J.D. Vance's accomplishments together, and they still won't equal the accomplishments of Kamala Harris. And so, regardless of the language, the racism, and the misogyny that the Republicans want to throw out, it's not going to work, because people can look at the records of each candidate, and Kamala clears without any doubt.
Absolutely.
So the Republicans are going to have to do something else. They're going to have to really try to figure out another plan of action, because that's been their basis of what they've been doing over the past 2 days, is really attacking her from a racist and misogynistic standpoint. But it's not working.
And which does not get them further away from the supporters they already have, because the independents, the people in the middle, that's not the narrative they want to hear. So they, just like the adding J.D. Vance to that Republican ticket, did not move the needle at all for his administration. It did, or for his ticket. It did not move the needle at all. And this commentary is not going to move those independents in the middle or bring any new people to the table in any mass amounts. You know, what's interesting is in this time we live in, when you never know what could be happening next, there's been conversation about whether or not they're having buyer's remorse by having J.D. Vance on the ticket. Now, he did, and they did accept the nomination at the Republican National Convention. I don't know what the rules say for the Republican Party, but I would not be surprised if somebody is not in every book written since 1776 trying to figure out if they could get J.D. Vance off the ticket and put somebody else on.
Yeah, because he's an extreme. He's an extremist. And he embraces that Project 2025. And he's an extreme when it comes to a woman's right. He thinks that abortion should be off the table, period, no matter what. And he embraces the Project 2025, and it has within it the aspect that they would make America Christian. Well, I'm confused because his wife is Hindu. How do you settle that at home?
Yeah, and you know what's been interesting, the reports of the harassment and some of the online beratement, quite frankly, from the right about his wife's ethnicity, which is terrible and horrible, and quite frankly, it is ugly. All right, as we get ready to almost wrap up in the next couple of minutes, moving forward, I mean, things are just in play. I think that Vice President Harris is the right person for the right moment at the right time. I think that what I've decided to, I'm just going to say what I decided to do, just scrolling up and down my timeline. First of all, even for some folk that look like me, I say two things. All skin folk ain't kin folk, and all Dems ain't down.
Okay, I agree.
I've had to look at my page and just decide, Frank, you got too many people. You need to get rid of some. I've had to literally purge my page. Right? I think we need to be conscious about what we do respond to, because everything doesn't deserve a response. And understand this is social media. You're going to see some ugly things said. Quite frankly, there are a lot of dummy pages. If you click on some of the pages of some of these extreme comments, especially from people who are African American, on a timeline of African Americans, if you go look at their bio, 15, they just joined last week. They got 15 followers,
Right.
but they following 9,000 people. I believe that's a dummy fake page.
Mm-hmm.
And you never know who is behind it. It is there just to keep it going. I would only say to people to use and check your source when they're, and don't just share every story or every meme because you think it makes sense.
Right.
There was a meme last week about a coffee company, I'll just say this, and what they did at the convention. The meme was incorrect, and there were a whole bunch of people sharing it. Look at the source. Is it a reputable network?
Mm-hmm.
Is it a reputable publication? Before you share it, click, go back to the original source to see where the information came from, and then make a decision as to whether or not you want to believe the information or if you want to reshare it. Because there are intentional dummy pages out there designed specifically to say things on every platform, be they conservative platforms, urban platforms, or whatever the case might be. And this is what I'm looking for as well, AR. And you're the daily journalist, AR. Here's what my sources have said to me as well. Okay, okay. So Frankie, you gonna go there? Absolutely. All right. So here we go. There are a number of blogs as well, and there is some research going on, especially some of the urban blogs, where you have political action committees or surrogate organizations that are paying some of these bloggers to post information.
Right. I believe
about
that. Yes.
the candidates, be it President Biden, Kamala Harris, or the like, right? And they're taking the checks. They're taking the checks, and the stories they're posting may be neutral stories, but subconsciously really hurting the credibility of Biden and Harris, but they're posting them nonetheless. Here's what I think, AR, especially because you write for a paper, the challenge for those blogs, and some of them are very, 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 very popular blogs, that at the end of this election, everybody's going to go back to normal. And secondly, there's going to be a campaign finance report. And in that campaign finance report, it has to include who they pay to do what. And do these bloggers want people to know, yeah, I posted that because they gave me a check, but yet you expected, we thought you were doing it because it was down information the whole time. You took the check from these people to dissuade your followers. Your thought on that, AR?
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think some people are actually getting paid to post misinformation. We saw, since the 2016 election, it's just been going on, for years now. But there's, with social media, I think for years from now, we're going to actually have to do some studies on what social media does to the brain. And I think there's a lot of people who just seek attention. There's a lot of people who would just post things for attention.
Mm-hmm.
I've been seeing a lot of contrarians who have put up posts disparaging, in an attempt to disparage Kamala Harris, bringing up things that she did when she was a district attorney, just things, saying that she isn't black enough. It's just really weird commentary. I'm just like, what is the solution?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to vote for Trump and follow Project 2025? These people have no plan, no solution. They're just here to agitate and for clicks and likes.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's kind of what it boils down to. Some people are here for attention, but we can't get distracted by those who don't really have a plan, who don't really have any type of intentions. I don't even think they're going to vote. I just think they're just here to be distractors. So we have to really keep pushing and really put the message out on why we need Harris as the next president of the United States.
All right, Rocky, your thought.
I agree with both of you. I think we just need to stay focused, stay on course, and realize that it's either going to be Harris, and it's going to be or Trump. We're either going to have a country that's a democracy, or we're going to have a country that's a dictatorship. And the most important aspect is that we're not voting for ourselves. We are voting for the future. We are voting for our children, our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren. And what kind of America do you want them to grow up in?
Right. You know, I always like to bring into the conversation as well the voices of that demographic between 18 and 30, 18 to 35. He is a rising senior at St. Joe's University here in Philadelphia, a member of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated, respectfully, very engaged in campus life and just abreast of a number of the issues politically, socially, and the like. Reese Green, welcome to Headlines. Good to have you on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Very good. What are you hearing this week?
So social media has been blowing up, especially with the Kamala Harris winning, or so far is securing the Democratic candidate vote, and just I'm loving it all. I even myself, earlier we was talking about the black men vowing to protect her. I myself vow, because especially as a young black man, when I see Kamala Harris run, Vice President Kamala Harris, thank you for correcting me. But when I see her...
No, I wasn't correcting you. I'm like the black men are going to support her. I'm going to support my black man. I'm supporting you. I'm holding you up too, brother.
When I see her, I see my mom. I see my grandma, my aunts, my cousins. I see all the black women in my life. Miss Frankie, I see you on there. Like,
thank you very much.
All the black women that impacted me in my life, that's who I see.
Yeah.
And that's what I vow to protect all women in my life. And Vice President Kamala Harris, I vow to protect her. I'm not going to make nothing slide.
Let me share with both AR, the audience, and Reverend Brown what happened this week, Reese. So as we're talking about the election and the like, and we're talking about, being on the crest of electing a woman who was more than qualified, that happens to be a black woman, and we talked about, the former President Barack Obama. You said to me, can I say the year you were born? He said to me, fellas, he said, I was born in 2003. He said, I was born knowing that there was already a black man elected.
Yep.
See, for me, AR, and Rocky, we remember the struggle to get to 2008. But for Reese, AR, he was born in 2003, where he already knew that it was capable and possible. Blew me away. My generation of people have just not wrapped our mind around that ideology. And so now for you, when we talked about that, what does knowing when you were born there was already a black president, and now here we are? Well, help everybody born before that.
So
before 1975.
So essentially, because of that, remember how you just said now's the time for us to be able to vote for a black female president and stuff like that? Because my generation, we are allowed to vote now. We are voting in this election. Think about it. We grew up with President Obama. We've already seen a black man in power. So race and stuff like that got nothing to do with anything.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Wow.
That's why you literally said earlier, people aren't even talking about her being a female or race. They're just like the DEI stuff, whatever. That's all they got. Us, we don't care. We literally do not care.
Because you grew up.
We grew up with that.
Yeah.
We've seen that improvement. That has nothing to do with anything.
Now, you said something really critical as well on the back end after I closed my mouth the other day, and you just, to know it. Because listen, Rocky, when we were talking about the cell phone, I remember I got my first car phone. He said, oh, my God, really?
Yeah.
He said, I just remember when I got my first iPhone. I was like, huh? iPhone. But I was saying to you as well, just understanding, the voting process. Yep. But when it hit you that was a struggle to get to Barack Obama.
Yeah, it was really crazy just hearing you explain everything, and just it really was mind opening. Cause when I was a kid and when Obama was elected, I didn't think nothing much of it. I was just
Right.
like, okay,
So when did
great.
it hit you?
It hit me. It hit me when Trump was elected in 8th grade. When he got elected, that's when it hit me. That's when I was like, oh, wait a minute. I had no interest in politics or anything. I was like, Obama's president, we good. When that happened, I said, oh, boy.
I get it. I thank you all so very much. Thank you for your insight, Reese. I'm going to close. AR, your thought.
Oh, well, the closing thoughts of this, it was great to hear from them and just to see that, at the early polls is that, of course, Kamala Harris, she has the numbers for younger voters, and, those numbers are coming in strong. I think we're going to make history. I think this is going to be a historical moment, and I think it's going to actually surpass the anticipation of Barack Obama, because in 2008, social media wasn't that big. And I think right now this can actually be a bigger from a global standpoint in terms of an impact.
Reese, I pulled up some information. I want you to read this really quickly before we go. This is from a previous NBC poll.
Okay, so it says that still previous polls hint at what could be a potentially significant difference in this new matchup. Faced with the Harris-Trump contest, the number of voters ready to pick sides may go up. It says the question of why more voters will be ready to choose sides with Harris as the Democratic nominee remains. But in the latest NBC News poll, two key groups stand out. Oh, this is interesting. Biden led by 57 points with black voters, while Harris held a 64-point advantage in the new NBC News poll. Among Republican voters who say they aren't satisfied with Trump as their nominee, Trump's lead went from 46 points against Biden to 47 points against Harris.
Right. So we're gonna, and here's the thing, in terms of Gallup polls in particular, I don't remember too many people galloping through my neighborhood asking us anything. I give polls a certain amount of respect, but it is a litmus test as we move forward. All right, closing comments, Rocky.
I think we need to stay focused. We're going to win this election, but we also need to take that idea of protect Vice President Harris serious. The other side has stated that if they do not win, it's going to be a bloodbath. We need to be mindful of what happened on January 6th is a possibility that could happen again, because Vice President Harris is going to win. And we have to continue to say that and believe it and spread the word. And I'm excited. I'm fired up. And I can't wait to see what's going to happen from the days and the weeks to come.
Yeah. Listen, in the Commonwealth, where Governor Shapiro could be the talk of the town, but I will say to you, October 21st is the last day to register to vote in the Commonwealth for the November 5th election. Make sure you handle your business. I'm Frankie Darcell. That's going to do it for me. Thank you so much for joining me. You can also go to the YouTube page. I want you to keyword Frankie Darcell on YouTube. You can listen to this entire interview and all of the great interviews that I'll be doing live on YouTube as well. So make sure after each show on Sunday, you go to YouTube, check out the show in its entirety. I'm Frankie Darcell. That's going to do it for me with 105.3 WDAS.